How many senses do we have? We have sight, we have hearing, we have smell, we have taste, we have touch. However, these are only 5 of the senses that you possess. In fact, you also have the sense that allows you to perceive temperature, distinct from touch. You have a sense that allows you to perceive pain. You have a sense that allows you to perceive kinetic energy and movement. You have a sense that allows you to perceive hormones, chemicals similar to smell. Some animals, however, possess additional senses, such as the ability to perceive electromagnetic fields or the ability to sense underwater pressure, among many others. There is also much talk about the famous 6th sense that animals supposedly have. It's the sense that allows them to perceive impending danger and the sense that allows mice to escape from ships even before a shipwreck occurs. It's the sense that allows cattle in slaughterhouses to sense the death of their fellow animals without even seeing it, without being able to participate in it. It's a sense that we humans no longer possess, or rather, we possess it, but it is now obscured by the noise of our other 5 senses to which we give much more importance. It's a sense we have lost while living in civilizations, in large cities, surrounded by our reinforced concrete barriers that protect us from the dangers of nature. Towards the end of World War II, an Allied team discovered documents in an underground base in Germany related to experiments conducted by the Axis forces on human subjects, with the aim of finding this famous 6th sense and reactivating it. The experiment involved placing 2 human subjects, designated as A and B, in 2 interconnected but isolated chambers. These 2 human subjects had access to food, water, books, and could do whatever they pleased inside their rooms through pipes. Scientists introduced a gas into these 2 chambers, primarily composed of the normal components, but also containing the fear hormone, which is released by all animals, from ants to more advanced mammals like humans, in situations of danger, extreme fear, anxiety, and especially during death. It is released in disproportionate amounts to ensure that the species, upon detecting this scent, understands that the area is dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. It's a way of marking territory to identify, "Don't go here. Something terrible has happened." Even though humanity has suppressed this sense over millennia, we should still have it. As the experiment continued, it was observed that as the dosage of gas increased, the 2 subjects, A and B, began to behave slightly differently from normal. They became more suspicious, looked over their shoulders, checked the corners, and inspected their food as if they expected it to be poisoned. Most importantly, as the doses were increased even more, they began to suspect each other. At some point, it was decided to significantly increase A's dosage and decrease B's. The result was that as both dosages continued to rise, B became increasingly paranoid, even writing letters and slipping them through the small door connecting his room to A's, asking him to stop talking in his sleep. B claimed to hear voices, even to see through the 5-centimeter thick window that separated him from the outside world, some creature that observed him at night with bloodshot eyes. On the other hand, I had become paranoid to the point of nearing pathology. He no longer ate, didn't even want to. Above all, he no longer slept. All he did was stare at the corners, occasionally the sources of noise. Sometimes the noise wasn't even there, but he would still become agitated. He was very irritable, rejecting human contact. He also began to keep a diary in which he wrote about conspiracies. He felt that the doctors wanted to poison him, that all of this was being done to harm him, and most of all, he talked about how B intended to kill him as the dosages continued to increase. All of this only increased the paranoia of the 2 subjects. It was becoming dangerous. The scientists themselves began to feel concerned as the 2 subjects were becoming violent when any interaction was attempted with them. Above all, the 2 subjects claimed to see things that normal humans could not see, to hear them, to smell them. They could perceive things that were beyond our sensory world. The scientists themselves began to be suspicious of each other as well. They started demanding further increases in dosage or claimed that the dosage was never right. Arguments became more frequent in the laboratory, and the diaries accurately reflect this. It appears that after a week of experiments, the scientists began to suspect each other. believing that all the others were somehow involved in a conspiracy against them. As the dosages continued to increase, the diary entries describe a sudden stop and mention an escape. It seems they broke through the reinforced 5-centimeter glass wall and escaped. They also mention B, who became violent to the point of almost committing murder against the other scientists. At this point, the scientists in the diaries are literally terrified. They claim to perceive A's presence. They say that he is pursuing them, seeking revenge. Moreover, they also claim to be able to hear something, to sense danger. They see shadows in the corners chasing them. They hear noises, footsteps. They hear something screeching in the walls. They perceive an indistinct odor that smells of blood. It smells of decomposing corpses. All the meals now taste chemically, as if they were sterilized. Every meal seems poisoned. Every smell smells of death. In the corners, in the reflections, they constantly see the shadow of an enemy. They constantly smell the odor and hear the noise of a predator around them. What can be deduced from the last pages is that the scientists literally killed each other, believing themselves to be responsible. What is shocking, however, is that the piping system was damaged. The fear hormone, apparently, had not only entered the rooms during the experiments but also into the scientists' room, slowly poisoning them with fear. According to the reports, they too had stopped sleeping, eating, and drinking, becoming paranoid and thinking only about death, the impending death, the death that was chasing them, the death that would claim them all, and finally, they took their own lives. However, the most disturbing thing is that all of them were terrified of A, and A's body has never been found, and it is still believed to be at large today. But the funny thing is that I am the one on whom these experiments were performed, me, and yet, sometimes, looking around me, I still perceive the presence of those scientists. I believe that they are not entirely dead or that their death was orchestrated. I still sense their presence and I still sense their cruel experiments being conducted on me for years. So why am I writing all of this? Why can I share all of this on the internet? Simple. Because I've realized that as my sense of death continues to activate, I've managed to activate a higher perception than that of you normal human beings. I have come to perceive death directly. In what sense? I begin to see auras around people, auras that, as I recently discovered, can show how much time remains until that person's death. Green auras mean people will live for several more decades. Yellow auras are for those who will live at most 2 years, a year, perhaps a few months. Red auras are for those who are about to die. Now death is perceptible to me. I can almost see numbers above their faces, almost tell how much time is left, and my prophecy invariably comes true. Of course, I don't say all this based on conjecture. I have stayed to observe them. I followed them home, as I no longer sleep, and invariably, when my sense became stronger, something happened to them, be it murder, suicide, or a serious work accident, whether they were hit by a car or hit someone themselves, but they always died. Rarely have my prophecies been proven wrong, and even then, an accident or some danger occurred. Moreover, it's not just a visual matter, not just an aura. I also perceive the smell of the danger of death. I can smell it where a person has died. In fact, I can no longer visit cemeteries or hospitals. The stench of death, the smell of corpses. I can feel every single corpse that has died. Certain houses that have belonged to multiple people are completely ruined for me. I can't visit them, but most of all, there's something about this sense of death that worries me. There's a strange sensation. Now I see danger everywhere. I see people's deaths, and I also see the cause of their death, while simultaneously seeing the cause of my own death. I don't know when I will die. For some strange reason, having this sense has stopped me from emitting the data that allows me to understand when I will die. However, I understand it from the people around me. I understand it from the fact that today, in this playground, everyone has a red color. Everyone, children, the elderly, women, and men. The guards have it, just like the civilians. The playground technicians have it. It's a pity that something has to happen. In case you were wondering, A and B, they were not men, they were children.